All right, KISS Army, welcome to the KissFAQ podcast. Thank you for giving us your time today and letting us into your head. I hope we don't do any damage. This is a KISS-related podcast by the board, for the board. We hope that you enjoy. All right, welcome to the KissFAQ podcast. I'm your host, Julian Gill, and I remembered to play the intro this week. So obviously a week in Hawaii has refreshed and rejuvenated my brain, and it's quickly been killed by a week back at work. But there you go. Vertical, every day above ground, this and that, blah, blah, blah. Now I have to go into a 5-minute monologue where I whinge. No, we're not going to do that. We've got Voice of Reason, 69th Blizzard, and
Hello.
Marcus Almighty. Mark, you are sporting a fancy, vivid, wonderful-looking shirt.
It's too bright.
Yes.
Oh, God, turn that shirt down.
I'm very pleased to say that I've usually been complaining about KISS Online and the store in general, how,
Yes.
it was in the past. But the one thing that I find that they have been doing good, and you see, this is the thing with me. If you do something good, I'll be a loyal customer. Their T-shirts have been fantastic. Their customer service, as far as sending them and stuff, has been great. They've kept me up to date on when it's going and everything. Your shirt is being shipped today. I will continue to buy shirts, and as long as they have fantastic designs like this fine one, I have an Elder one that I bought as well, and I even have a Destroyer one, if you can believe it. You saw that yellow monstrosity that I wore, So I will continue to wear these fantastic KISS shirts, but their albums are I'm getting a little sometimes shaky with still.
Yeah, so we're going to be talking about a whole bunch of board topics and just KISS kind of related topics. Obviously, last week with me being away, I wasn't in the mood to think about doing a deeper dive. I know we've got a lot of anniversaries in September, and it's just impossible to kind of focus on all of them, especially when we've got so many episodes, from previous years where we've done the deep dives into Lick It Up and talked about, product. But that's a very good starting point. After I say hello to everyone who's chimed in the chat already: Red Walrus, AB, Ronnie Parker, Space Ace Ron in the house, the Opal Archive, Bill Phelps, Ken. Oh, hey, Ken. Andrew, thanks for joining us live. Chime in with your comments as we go. Again, this is your show as well as ours. But, they announced the 40th Austin. Got right into the end before I start going. They announced the Lick It Up anniversary, the 40th anniversary of the unmasking of KISS, and the first album released with slightly less makeup, more of a doll's look, I guess. A real missed opportunity this year, in my view, for the 40th anniversary of both the unmasking and the start of the second era of the band, in a sense. But what were your guys' take on the merchandise line that they did release? Because they did do something. They came up with several products. I'm just going to go through them quickly. The Lick It Up limited edition 3LP deluxe hoodie, which has picture disc versions of both of the singles that were released in Europe, with the lovely British Lick It Up single cover. And that's not an LP, it's a 12-inch. Same with All Hell's Breaking Loose, which also has the cover that was generally used in many markets. That comes with a hoodie as a package. You can also get the limited Japan edition LP, which comes with a long sleeve jersey. And then you've got both of those on their own, unbundled. The prices actually look pretty good. Ken, any of those take your fancy along with the other items in the bundle?
Yeah, I did order. I ordered the Japanese. It was funny. I ordered the Japanese edition with the long sleeve T-shirt, and I also and the thing with the Japanese one, it show a black vinyl, but it's supposed to be clear vinyl with black splatter or something like that, I think.
Oh, really?
And yeah, right. Yep. That was in the in the description for that. And then the other one, I went ahead and got the picture discs also. So yeah, I'm a sucker.
Yeah, but they've got some T-shirts. The T-shirt, 2 of them are lame. They're just the logo and the album.
They're horrendous.
Yeah, but they've got the Lick It Up pin, which actually harkens back to the Jan Van Helms, whatever the guy who did the design of the Hotter Than Hell album and
Right.
actually designed a Kiss Lips logo way back when. So that kind of riffs off that really ancient idea. And I know there's been a bootleg pin that's been around years for that. And then, other t-shirts, maybe there'll be one that, catches Mark's fancy. Lonnie, welcome. Did any of the Lick It Up merch catch your eye this week?
Well, I'm intrigued that Japanese vinyl is not black vinyl, that it's actually some kind of colored vinyl. Obviously I don't read the descriptions. I did so because I thought it was kind of lame, I ordered the picture disc because I thought, well, that's just black vinyl. I kind of like the other one better. For
pressed on clear vinyl with black
splatter.
Yep, in a gatefold jacket as well.
Well, I did not read that, boys. So I ordered the
read the small print.
I did not. So I ordered the picture disc. So they got me for an extra $20, I guess. So it's here. I thought it was good because here we haven't gotten anything since that last off the soundboard, really. And I guess since the Alive 3 back in May, we really haven't gotten anything. So I was just happy there was something. As opposed to
you sound like a Kiss junkie. It's been 4 months since
my
last fix.
I know. I can't take it.
Give me more.
I know. I can't take it. So
nicely played, Ken.
Yeah. So I bought it. I'm a sucker too, just like him.
Well, welcome David Parrish and Rome Loves Dan. Mark, are you going to buy a t-shirt? Clearly you're on a t-shirt buying spree. Did any of those catch your fancy for the Lick It Up product line? Like that World Tour looks good.
How about a shirt that just says "Lick It Up"?
Yeah, see, the individual ones that you can buy separately really suck. I mean, how unimaginative can you be? Like, who is the designer of that? Like, really? Let's just put a black shirt with KISS on the front and white and Lick It Up on the back, and let's do a white one, the same thing, just opposite. Like, come on, guys, put some effort into this for fuck's sakes. And the thing is with the bundles. I mean, I'm not too big into the the hoodies and shit like that, and I'm gonna go off a little bit here on one thing that really pissed me off about this. They release 12-inch singles. I was like, oh, they're doing 12-inch singles. That's gonna be fantastic. I love 12-inch singles. Okay, I collect tons of them. I have Marillion 12-inch singles. I got Rush 12-inch singles. I got all kinds of them. And 12-inch singles sound great because they're at 45 RPM. The fidelity of them are fantastic. They sound great. What does KISS do? In typical KISS fashion, the morons put picture disc 12-inch singles out. Picture discs sound like ass. I don't care what anybody says. Oh, they sound much better now. Okay, they sound better, but it's still it's still noise on it when you put it on. It's a picture disc. It's never going to be clear and quiet. Okay, they took a great opportunity to put out singles like this in a really good format, and they blow it again. What's going on with these guys, man? Think. You don't do that. You leave the picture disc for the album if you're going to do something that dumb, because I'm already so used to the albums coming out in picture disc. You might as well do that. But the singles, come on, man. You could have left those as is. But I do like the way the Japanese albums, how they're putting those posters and those other, odds and ends with it. That looks really nice. I did buy the Japanese album version, not with any of the t-shirts or nothing, but I am disappointed about the shirts because, like I said, I am on a bit of a shopping spree with the t-shirts of late. Was hoping to get a nice Lick It Up one, and I don't want to have to buy a bundle to get something different. So,
well, there we are. Mark is somewhat satisfied. So take that for what it is. But you know what? I'm really disappointed that you clearly don't appreciate the true analog warmth of the picture disc.
Analog warmth, huh?
Well, come on, sell you a swamp if you want, Ken.
Yeah, well, the actual vinyl for that. Actually, no, the T-shirt we were talking about. There's, I don't know why they don't replicate the original, tour T-shirts. I had a KISS Lick It Up T-shirt from when I went to the concert. And I remember, I think it had the tank on the back of that one too, or it just said maybe if it's too loud, you're too old. It said on the back. I don't know. That would have been nice for them to replicate it. Mine's gone. I mean, mine went from a T-shirt to a sleeveless T-shirt to a cut-off T-shirt, and then it disappeared. Then it disappeared.
Cut off T-shirt.
That was a good old days.
Became a duster.
When I was in shape. That was way back. So,
Don't tease us, Ken.
Yeah, sorry about that, buddy. But yeah, everything else is okay. We want maybe wanted something more from Lick It Up than what we got, but it's better than nothing.
Yeah. I went through I didn't order a single thing out of this. The 12-inch singles. I had 12-inch singles for at least Lick It Up, the UK one, back in the day. The All Hell's Breaking Loose. I think the pictures that they're using on the picture disc look cool. I hadn't read either that it was clear vinyl with splatter. I just looked at it. I'm like, blah. I already had that at one time, so not interested. I don't need a hoodie. I don't really wear them. Yeah, I'm not going to rant like Mark did about the T-shirts, but the ones with just the logo and the Lick It Up, I guess, is on the back.
Pretty good.
I think, lazy, but come on, how many people? The original KISS T-shirt was just rhinestone logo on the front, so it's not really that far. But I wouldn't want to be walking around with Lick It Up on the back of my back.
What?
Yeah.
See, you can hardly even see it.
It's just the type from the album cover. So
that's
it's
lazy. It's lazy.
It's like
it is lazy.
It's like Times New Roman. They didn't even change the font.
Times New Roman or sans serif.
The tank top. I guess for women, fine. The mug again. It's got that silly. Just Lick It Up in type. If it just been left with the world tour and tank again, that's cool. I don't have an issue. But you know what? It is better than nothing, and we are at that point where it really is a matter of something better than.
That's sad, eh? That we're better than nothing.
Anything. And as Ken said, just give me more. So they've already built the page apparently, and I'll give a shout out to Jason at Kiss My Wax and Kiss My Collectibles on Facebook for deciphering that Psycho Circus, which was released on September the 22nd, has a page that has magically appeared without any pre-orders or GoFundMes. So it looks imminent that there will be Psycho Circus product. And I don't have any inside information on what it is or was. So that's another good starting point for what would you like, keeping in mind what has been released for these just anniversary editions that include nothing new, and just repackage what already is. Ken, what would you like as to appear on that page tomorrow if you could make any item appear?
Oh gosh, well, box set, but obviously we said we can't do that. I can't say that, but I'm with Ken. I would love a Psycho Circus box set. When you with all the extras,
and the ones that people haven't heard, and then soundboards from that tour.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that we don't know about. But keeping with Lick It Up theme, I guess. Picture disc, obviously. Picture disc. I don't know what they would do. I guess the cover. I don't know. Maybe that's a little boring too. The other one would be maybe if they could do a splatter of some kind of the colors of Psycho Circus with maybe like a half-speed mastered, vinyl or something like that. At least go a little bit of extra mile on it. I'm sure it's going to be something else. They'll have goodies. Maybe they'll have a die-cut cover also. That's possible for one of them, like they've done for like a Live 3 and a Live 2, that sort of thing. Otherwise, I don't know.
Really good. The die-cut sleeves have done a great job on, haven't they?
Yeah, those have been really nice, and I would hope they would do more of those because they've come out really nice. I don't know. Otherwise, I'm just sticking to the vinyl stuff. A T-shirt, I don't know. That was only they had a lot of those T-shirts out back in the day. Unless they come up with something new, I don't know what they can come up with. I really don't know.
Yeah, I've still got 2 of the Dodger Stadium Psycho Circus T-shirts. I just need to get a little bit less fat so I can get back into them, which would be that's a mission. They've already had 2 versions of the cover for the LP that's been issued since 2014. The original lenticular cover, and then what's the other one? Just the kind of the curtains.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have one behind me here.
Yeah, I didn't buy that one or track it down. There has been a bootleg picture disc, so there's a lot of room for a picture disc to be done properly, because that bootleg that came out was pretty rubbishy. And Mark, you love picture discs. What would you like for Psycho Circus product?
I would like some decent shirts, for sure. Okay, by the looks of their old sort of merch, some of this is maybe even bootleg stuff, I'm guessing, but they have every opportunity to do something really cool with Psycho Circus. You can say whatever you want about the record, it sucks, it's a pretty bad album, but the artwork that they did for it was pretty interesting. The lenticular cover was kind of a neat idea, so they can do some really, you think this is vibrant, I can only imagine what Psycho Circus could look like if they did it, really nicely. Please, enough with the picture discs, okay? I'm begging you. I know they're going to probably do something with a picture disc for Psycho Circus, but if they decide to do a 12-inch of "I Finally Found My Way" for the album release, then at least put that on a regular black vinyl. Don't make that a picture. We want to have the fidelity of that piano and Peter singing for sure. On the
People will
12-inch.
turn that into splatter themselves.
Yes, agreed. So, but will they continue with the 12-inch single idea? I'm very curious about that, because I like that idea. I just don't like the picture disc format of it. If they kept it with a vinyl, even if they did a splatter vinyl of a 12-inch, I'd be fine with that. But I like that idea of having the singles, and maybe do something different. Put one of those songs in there, and put like a B-side of some of the songs that weren't released on the other side. To include something that wasn't on the album on there, because we are all kind of clamoring for these boxes, and we know the box sets aren't going to come for a long time until they've ironed out who owns the right to the KISS name, blah 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 blah. So we're gonna have to wait a while for that. But you can still do stuff like this, where you find like some of these odds and end songs, and put them on the B-sides of a 12-inch single. I mean, other than that, I think we're going to get more of the same. We're going to get a Psycho Circus mug. We're going to get a Psycho Circus sticker, and whatever, a keychain, or God knows what else. But I think that so far they've been pretty good with making the album slightly different, like how they did like a gatefold with "Lick It Up." Now, originally wasn't a gatefold, so it's a good idea. Maybe they'll do something different with the artwork inside. Maybe it'll be a different picture of the band. So if they do that, I'll always probably buy the album. But again, please, if you're going to put out another 12-inch single, don't do it on a picture disc. I implore you. I mean, it's probably too late, because you have to go like months ahead in time to do these things. So
how about this, Mark? What if they did the Psycho Circus album, and then they did a 12-inch of "It's My Life" and backed with "In Your Face"?
Yeah, look, I'd be happy with that.
Oh, actually,
cool.
you are absolutely right, because they were released on the box set.
Exactly. That's why I'm thinking. So that's a possibility.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'd be for that.
Yeah, I was thinking along the lines of the live EP that was included on the European.
That'd be a good one too. Make it a gatefold double.
Yeah, turn it into a 12-inch vinyl, but then you've got songs like the collector's edition of Raise Your Glasses, and you've just mentioned a couple of songs. There were edits that were released, one that never got released, because I remember Kiss Online way back was giving away one of the acetates for, what was it? We Are One, I think, an edit or something. You Wanted the Best was a radio single, and that I think came as an edit. The Psycho Circus song has an edit. I mean, sure, it really just chops off the clown show, but there is enough to actually do a double vinyl if there was the will, rather than holding it back, say, for something else down the road. or something that maybe was a single use agreement back, in 1999 for the European tour. But I would love to see that. That's probably the only thing I would be interested in, is if they put that live EP on the on vinyl.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Because that's got a lot of scope. I also think that the tour book, a miniature version of that, would be kind of cool. We've seen some of those for off the soundboards that have been released in Japan. I actually like there were several versions of the tour book, so kind of combining the Dodger Stadium one, which was a special moment in history for me. That kind of stuff. T-shirts, again, I've got what I have from back in the day, so I wouldn't really be in the market to where I don't really wear black T-shirts, rock ones anyway. So, Lonnie, what about you?
Yeah, I'd be really the EP is a really cool idea, Julian. That little EP that we get that came out a couple months after Psycho Circus came out, on that European edition of it, is really good. Like that version of Black Diamond and Let Me Go Rock and Roll, those are really good versions of those songs. And it's really almost the closest thing we had to like official reunion type recordings for a long time. I mean, that's early in the Psycho Circus tour. I mean, they're coming off the reunion. They sound really good on some of those tracks. 100,000 Years is the other classic KISS track. And that Psycho Circus version is good as well. Within, not so much. I mean, Within just didn't sound good live, but and Into the Void too. But that would be really cool. I was a really big fan of that live EP back in the day. I mean, obviously we'll get some T-shirts, and that they did a really good job with T-shirts actually for that tour. They did a good job promoting that tour, like Mark said. And I'm with Ken in the fact that I wish they would do some of those original type T-shirts again, but I have a feeling we're going to get like a wish.com version of these T-shirts, and they're not going to be, you know what I mean? They're not going to be what we really want. They're going to be that. And just like the Revenge T-shirts. The Revenge T-shirts were cool, but give me those actual tour shirts that they were selling at those shows, man. I would really love that. But I guess there might be some kind of licensing hang up that they can't do that. I really don't know. I'm not that plugged into it, but that would be really badass if they could recreate some of those original shirts. But I don't think we're going to get it because we didn't get it for Revenge. We didn't get it for Look It Up the other day. So, I think we'll get a coffee mug. I think we'll get some, I think coffee mugs have become a staple with these releases. I think we'll get some different types of shirts. I wouldn't get too excited about getting a double LP for it, but that would be pretty badass. But maybe they'll shock us all and give us a big thick box set, and that's the box set, and they've really kept it under lid. Who knows for 25th anniversary Psycho Circus? One can only wish.
I have one more item that I would add to my list because Lonnie brought up coffee mugs. Those pokey little 8-ounce pieces of shit are not worthy of anything. That is not enough coffee for me. I need a 20-ounce travel mug.
Julian's a man.
I just need a shit of caffeine to get moving. These bones, this girth doesn't get moving without a bit of fuel. I would actually like one, and I think the Psycho Circus design actually lends itself to those travel mugs with the wrap around. What's that? The Psycho Child.
That was so ridiculous.
This is the Psycho Circus video game that came out around that
time.
Oh
yeah,
looks like
it's the worst video game ever.
Yeah,
it's pretty bad. It's a pretty bad video game.
Awful.
Yeah, so we've actually been positive about Psycho Circus when talking about purchasing merch, and then tomorrow we'll find if tomorrow is really a product announcement.
Can I say one thing though? Sorry, Lonnie. Sorry, Julian.
Don't apologize to me.
Well,
Lottie
I
said
usually
yes.
have to, but yeah. But the thing that I'm always wondering about, and I'm sure Ken might support me in this, but don't you think it's about time that maybe they start including some video again? I mean, why not include like a little DVD? Like people put them in their albums all the time now. Yes, I know you're saying money, but I mean, come on.
You want that 3D video, Mark? It's so
No,
good.
no, I'm
you
just
need
saying
another
that
copy of it.
you got to start somewhere. There's got to be some video footage of them playing from this tour. Like they did film a lot of this tour, right?
Well, yeah,
So,
a lot of that came out in the leaks. Everything that was filmed for
Yeah,
Second Coming.
yeah, I'm just saying that why not find something else like that maybe most people didn't have in their collection or something, and just put up like 3 songs, like how they did with Sonic Boom, how they did a little DVD that came with the CD package there from that Buenos Aires show. I thought that was great that they included something like that. Put some video back, and this is a band that's all about the visuals, and you're trying to sell us always just audio. Put in some video with it. I mean, every band that I collect stuff from has done this, and even in albums now, I got an album. Even Yes, when they released their latest album, they put in CDs and DVDs within the album, so there's no excuse.
You're right. And you know what? You just triggered another good idea. Because you remember that freaking viewfinder thing, whatever they're called, Viewmaster?
Yeah.
They should be including a little reel for each of these albums in one of those.
Yes.
I mean, they sold you this thing years
3D
ago.
one.
Well, whatever. Yeah, have a 3D lens cover you can put over that thing.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Remember how many people bought that?
I think there needs to be some kind of 3D glasses available with tomorrow.
Why not? Yeah.
A Psycho Circus shot glass in blue and red.
There you go.
3D. You'll get 3D one way or the other.
See, why don't they call us about this stuff before they release it? We have so many better ideas than they do.
Our ideas
Easily.
are completely unrealistic in terms of business, probably.
Oh, come on.
Because we're fans.
I mean, come on. I'm involved a little bit with this stuff. Not as obviously as deep as these guys are with stuff. But
There, that's the name.
Viewmaster.
Thank you, Blue Racer.
There you go.
Yep, Viewmaster. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, you know what? The whole idea of this is we just get to kind of pontificate on it without taking it into an Excel spreadsheet and line iteming every single aspect of it.
We'll be totally wrong. Come tomorrow, we'll see. We'll be totally wrong.
Hey, I always say it.
Whatever.
I love being totally wrong. So, we were pretty brutal in our review of the album itself that we recorded a few weeks ago for last week. And it's really hard to separate some of the emotion of what we were thinking and hoping in 1998 and initial reactions, because I've got that review still online that I wrote in 1998 and put on the web. And it serves as a reminder of embarrassment, and again, I think everything that came later poisoned it. But there's been a couple of topics on the FAQ message board this past week, and one's by, I can't speak parcel tongue, so Snakester. Ask the question, and Mark, this goes to you first. Was Psycho Circus Destroyer 2 or a concept album? And we didn't touch on that when we were talking about the album, that it does have a little bit of a concept to it, especially those front and back end songs.
It should have been.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna find any connection to a concept, I guess that would be the place to look. I mean, is the album based about the concert experience in general? I mean, you have songs like You Wanted the Best, how they pontificate how great they are at concert and stuff like that. I mean, you can, if you really wanted to stretch it, you probably could find some sort of concept in there. But I don't think it is. And no, I don't think it's Destroyer 2. Thank God. I mean, I placed Psycho Circus, believe it or not, higher than Destroyer in my opinion. But I think that the main thing there is that there's no Bob Ezrin. I mean, I'd take Bruce Fairburn any day over Ezrin, to be quite honest with you. And I think Psycho Circus sounds good. It's a decent sounding album, but the song is just not that strong. I don't think it's a Destroyer 2. I mean, it doesn't feel that way to me, even in the way it flows, or even in the way that the kind of the Destroyer kind of was an album where they ironed out everybody's character, sort of. God of Thunder for Gene, Then you had everything in there was sort of trying to iron out the characteristics of the band, and that doesn't do anything like that in this album.
Yeah, Lonnie, Destroyer 2 or concept album, or neither?
I say concept album more than Destroyer 2. I can see the similarities to Destroyer 2, and we talked about this last week with, Peter has to sing a ballad, and there was this formula we thought we had to follow. But I put it more as a concept album than I do just. I don't know. The more I think about it, no, I'm going to change my vote. The more I think about it, I'm going to change my vote. It is Destroyer 2. They wanted Ezra to produce it, and he didn't. They wanted it to be Destroyer Volume 2. They just came off a very successful tour, a live tour, and they were going back into the studio, and there's a formula that they thought they had to follow, whether Bob was involved or not. I am going to say it's Destroyer 2 more than anything else.
All right. So, yeah, Bob Ezrin was
talked myself into it.
Yeah, Bob Ezrin was supposed to produce, or was talked about, and he had like an executive producer kind of role. He was, I wish I could find it right now. I was just looking. I think he was focusing on a startup business around that time, around technology and the music business. One of the many things that he's done outside of just pure production work. It definitely is a little bit of a concept album in terms that it uses a corporate mentality for creating an album rather than an organic music-based one where we've got our 4 players, we're going to make music. We're going to get everyone in the same room and thrash through ideas and grow ideas and water seeds until they grow into flowers or weeds, and then pick the best and record them. That's too alien a concept to KISS. Instead, they look at it from, well, we have to have a monster song. We have to have a Peter ballad. We've got to have an anthem. So we cookie cut. And then the concept becomes that we need to have this album sound a certain way. So we're not going to have those guys play on it because we need to get it done and they're being difficult. So all the concept of every business decision KISS has ever made in the studio is represented on this album. External players, Paul and Gene blaming Fairburn, calling him the arbiter. So it's a concept album, just not the sort of concept anyone wants a concept album to be. Ken?
Yeah, I think it's not Destroyer 2. It's not. It could have been a concept album. I think if Ezrin was producing it, I mean, he could have changed something, like even I Finally Found My Way could have been, I finally found the bathroom or something. It could have been around the concert experience, the whole concert experience, say raise your glasses, raise your devil horns, or, whatever, something. But I think I could have been all around the concert experience maybe, and the interaction between KISS and the fans. It could have done something. It may have worked. It may have not, but what we got was not really a concept. Just the first, if you just have the first and last song, that's a concept, and the rest is not.
Filler.
Yeah, it's filler in between.
Yeah, I mean, the concept about the reunion was that it was about revisiting youth and remembering things that were lost and revaluing, and the excitement of the show. They actually nailed that, the excitement of the show to a certain extent with the title track. But, so many, again, lost opportunities. The Japanese was decent. Yeah, there was that the 3D pop-up one with fold-out leaves and all that jazz. Tons of...
Yeah.
That's
the one that I have.
Yeah, I had that. There's also another pretty good. This is actually the Kissianic entity. Don't roll your eyes. But he asked, does Dreamin' feature Paul's best vocal performance? Mark's best vocal performance was just now.
So we get more remarks on the...
in 1992 to 2008. So, Mark, would you like to chime in with that?
Yeah,
maybe you want to repeat your last comment.
If I could, I would. But yeah, I don't know. Dreaming Paul's best vocal performance of 92. That's saying a lot. I mean, not that they released a lot of stuff between that time. I can understand what he's saying, maybe in that sense, but nah, I don't think Dreaming is his best vocal performance. I mean, honestly, and I've always said this before, is that for me, a good song or a good vocal performance is all based on the fact if I can remember it. If I can go outside now, hum it and still be able to sing it, the melody in my head, then yeah, that's a great vocal performance or a great song. And honestly, I don't remember much of Dreaming. Dreaming was never to me a great song. I don't think. I mean, I could, you guys might not agree with that, but I can recall Psycho Circus. I can recall other songs off the album much easier than Dreaming. So I'd even go as far as to say that I think Psycho Circus might be one of his best vocal performances.
Interesting. Lonnie, what about you?
I actually agree with Mark. I think Psycho Circus is a better vocal performance than Dreamin'. And in my opinion, is probably the best between 92 and 08. Not that there's a lot to choose from.
Yeah.
But you listen to Psycho Circus, I mean, it's really good. And Dreamin', I don't know. I said this when we recorded the Psycho Circus show. Like, Dreamin's just kind of forgettable, in my opinion. I mean,
yes.
as far as a vocal performance goes, it doesn't stand out. I mean, we talked about Filler 5 minutes ago, and Dreamin' is, in my opinion, just that. It's just a way to get to the end of the album and kind of fill it out. Psycho Circus is a much better vocal performance, in my opinion.
Yeah, so I am going to say hell no. I think it's a good vocal performance. I always like the song. I like how it soars. But Every Time I Look at You, I Will Be There, those are some pretty good vocals, but nothing for me will ever top Paul's vocals on MTV Unplugged. Because, again, the songs that he's hitting, I Still Love You on there, and again, Every Time I Look at You, are kind of his last absolutely great moments. And having watched a whole shitload of the work that he put into those performances in the 3 to 4 days beforehand, it's like, holy shit, did he put the work in and execute during that show. And it's just the power and the emotion. Dreamin's dreaming if it's thinking that it gets anywhere near that. Ken?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing as you Julian. MTV Unplugged, and like I Still Love You. That was a super vocal performance by Paul. Dreamin' is good, but it's I don't think it's not the best vocal performance in that time period. 92 to 2008. I totally believe Unplugged, like you, Jen, is where the last great performance was.
Yeah, so David Andreina, I'm sorry if I butchered your name, but has anyone ever had anything to say about the reunion re-recordings on You Wanted the Best, You've Got the Best? Were any tracks at all retained from the live performance? I think, most of the musical tracks were actually from those original recordings in 1975 and 77, and it was vocal tweaks and maybe a little bit of guitar has been suggested. I just do not have the ear, unlike other guitarists, to really differentiate, but yeah, none of those were any fine vocal performances, that's for shit sure. Let's move on with another topic from the board, and we've got some other folk who've joined. Half Ace, Rob Benjamin, who I've been flashing up his comments since he's joined. Of course, David's on. Thanks for joining us today. If you're listening live, we appreciate you joining us. I Got a Getaway posted on the board. Can KISS do a new album? Ken?
They can, but they won't. That's about as far as it goes. I mean, yeah, Paul, they can still do whatever, auto-tune tweaks, whatever to fix whatever vocal problems are for Paul. But yeah, they definitely can, but unfortunately they won't, and they haven't since whatever it was, 2014 or when the Monster came out last. So it's unfortunate that they haven't done anything. Yeah, they could still do something. Even one song would be okay. They do one song, they could have Gene sing it, and that would be fine. Of course, something. I don't know, but yes, they can, but they won't.
Well, technically, I could record an album if I wanted, and had a hell
You
of a
could.
hell of a lot of assistance in technology. I mean, songs I've got, but skills I don't. Mark, could KISS record an album with Bob Ezrin?
Bob Ezrin.
Oh, God, you're killing me with that guy's name. Hopefully not with Bob Ezrin, but yeah, they could do it. But again, they're not going to do it. Their minds are elsewhere. But the problem is, if there's ever a time for KISS to record an album, it could be now. Why do I say that? It's because most bands will tell you that the best time to go into work on a record is after you've been on the road for a while and everybody's kind of gelled and everybody's in a groove and everybody's feeling good about their performances. The worst time to do it is when you get off the road, take 7 months off, and then go back in the studio, and then you're all rust bucket for the first month and a half trying to get everything back in order again. If they went out on the road now, and went into the record, they could do it. And look, Julian touched on one important thing here. The technology is available for them to make a record that would be pretty decent. I mean, with the auto-tune technology that you have now, and I mean, Lonnie, would you consider yourself a decent singer? I'm just curious.
Sure. Oh gosh, yeah.
Okay, so you could get somebody like Lonnie in, and even if he sang in the key of J and it was all over the place, I could auto-correct it all and make it sound actually like he's sang for like the last 6-7 years. You can do that with this technology, no problem. So, and Paul's far from being a horrendous singer. I mean, he isn't singing in any unknown keys yet, but he is just having trouble with certain pitches and getting certain things. So they can fix all that. The problem is they just don't want to do it. To them, they're just seeing dollar signs all the time. If it doesn't amount to big money, we don't want to do it, right? So
if it doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make sense, Mark.
There you go. That's the line. So that's probably why they want to do it. But you could do it. They could easily go and do it. I mean, look. I mean, I had the privilege of hearing a recent soundboard recording, and I won't say from who, but somebody provided a very interesting show from Lyon that recently came out. And man, the performances on that were horrendous with the vocal performances. Even Gene's was terrible. But if you put them into the studio and they correct it, it'll sound fantastically fine. And plus in the studio, you can go back and do it over and over and over again until you get it decently right. And then you just kind of fine tune it and polish it. Right. So there you go. Yeah, there you go. The guys think they should do it.
Pretty soon you'll be able to take that in-ear monitor feed from Leon and parse it through AI and say, make this sound like 1975 KISS.
Yeah.
And a few bells and whistles will whirl around, some steam pop out of your ears, and boom, here's your file. And it'll literally be like that. Come on, Pro Tools, filters, pitch shifting, all the tricks that are available in the studio today have made many talentless hacks famous. When you look at some of the microphone, shit that happens.
And I mean, it even helped. Look, sorry to interrupt you, but one last thing. People are talking about the Stones thing.
Yeah.
Even the Rolling Stones song, that new song is good. I like it, but there's clearly evidence of pitch correcting on Mick Jagger on that. But the guy's 80, give him a break.
Yeah, come on. The Rolling Stones just put out a new single. Yeah, and I actually dig it.
It's good.
I'll be first day purchaser of that album without any doubt, because I love the Stones. But Steven Tyler just went back on the road for Aerosmith's farewell tour and shredded his voice after 3 shows, blew his vocal cords out to the point where they're bleeding. So you get to the point with age where you simply have to, I guess, wash your hands and say, thank you very much. Good night. you know, and I think they've reached that part creatively, which is why there's been nothing for 25. Well, we've had Monster and we've had Sonic Boom, and thank you very much for giving us both of those albums, because they have some good songs on it that I look forward to hearing other bands cover. So you can actually hear them be a little bit more developed and, you know, better produced. Lonnie, could you record an album tomorrow?
Oh gosh, yeah, for sure. I already said that. I could. Doesn't mean it'd be any good, but can they do it? Sure. But as I interrupted Mark, with the stupid little line, if it doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make sense, and they won't do it because what? Why haven't they recorded an album since 2012? Because there's no money in doing it, so they don't do it. But you know what there is money in? Touring. Soul Station. Gosh, yeah. There's money in touring. And that's why we've been on the End of the Road tour for 5 years. And I know COVID happened. Don't come after me about that. But that's why we've just kept. That's why we went back to Europe again this year, when we said last year was the last time we're coming to Europe. Oh, guess what? We're back. Because there's money to be made in touring. So that's why we keep doing it. And we're just going to keep going as long as we can and squeeze in as many shows as we can between now and December. But there's not money to be made in doing a new album. So KISS has no interest in doing it. Now you brought up Soul Station. Well, they did Soul Station. Well, I guess that's Paul doing his thing, and he wanted to. I don't know.
Get it out of his system.
No, he wanted to do art, and that's what he was able to do. So he did it. It's a passion piece. It's like Lulu, you know. Right. It's like if you're delusional and think that's going to be a massive success, you're totally wrong. He did that for passion and that he still loves music and creating art.
And I think that doing a new KISS album wouldn't be art. I think they would try to do it out of, again, with a formula, and this is the way it has to sound, and this is the way it has to be.
Yeah.
And that would come across on the album. It would not be art. It would be forced. So that being said, and the fact that there's not money to be made, no, we will not get one, even though they could, but they won't.
Yeah, but this never-ending tour, I mean, feels more like the 5-year plan. The Alive Worldwide tour was a 5-year contract. That is what they signed Ace and Peter for. 5 years. Hard time. And they you know, Ace was out when that contract expired, pretty much. Slight extension for him, but Peter was gone. You know, so it lived its 5 years. I think the, you know, End of the Road was a several-year plan that obviously got extended by, you know, the pandemic, which is just shit happens. So, you know, weird world we live in. Could they do an album? Hell yeah. Just look at the Billboard charts. Anyone can do a fucking album with enough hype. Okay, talk about new products. Gene Simmons has a new bass.
Yes.
Who's got $6,500? That thing actually looks pretty damn cool. Certainly much better than the last signature line, in my view, which looked more like a Nikki Sixx leftover, which I think it was. Mark,
yes.
What do you think of that? What do you think of that bass? Cool.
I kind of like it. I mean, I'm a big Gibson guy. As you can tell, I had their homepage right on my phone. That when one click, I'm in there. You know, because I'm a big watcher of a lot of their videos and stuff like that. And I love my Les Pauls and my SGs. I have a couple. Looking to probably get another Les Paul, to be quite honest, in the near future. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely a throwback to the whole, Dress to Kill, Alive 1 era bass playing times for Gene. And while it's interesting bass, this one I would recommend for people, if you are interested in getting this bass guitar, you'd be better off probably to buy this one. Of course, keep in mind that price tag that Julian just mentioned there, which says it's $7,000 there at the bottom. Okay, $7,000 US for that bass. Okay, now that's really pricey, and that's only because it's Gene Simmons' name
Well,
on it.
it's limited
Okay.
number, right?
Yeah, but really,
Small amount,
the original version of that bass, it's not a good bass. I mean, I've heard people saying that you have to really work with that bass, like you have to tweak it the neck a bit, and there's a lot of adjustment that needs to be, and the sound of it, because it's just like an EVO.
What's it based on?
It's based on like the old. Oh, it's almost kind of based like on the old SG style with that kind of single EVO pickup in there, right? But because if I'm not mistaken, I think that's what they're using here, right? On here, they have the whole thing on here. Electronics. The electronics are a Rhythm SG bass pickup in here. So, that kind of early Jack Bruce Cream bass idea, right? Where it's all kind of sounding. But Gene, that's an interesting thing, because Gene, if we all know very well, when you listen to a live, his bass is more like it had like a really distorted kind of mid-range growly bass sound on it. So I'm guessing if you're looking to get that kind of a sound, you can maybe get it from this, because this is going to be definitely based on more newer technology, like newer stuff. That this is, look at Gibson making guitars now; they're pretty good at it still, So I'm guessing that the whole performance playing level of it is going to be good. The sound of it's going to be probably pretty good too. So, but it's just really expensive. That's the problem.
Yeah, Lonnie.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to get that, it looks nice. I'm sure it sounds nice. If you want to get that, more power to you. If you can afford to do that, more power to you again. I'm sure it'd be a great addition to any hardcore fans collection. It's not for me at this point in my life, but I'm sure it is for some people. Just like, swords we breathe fire out of are for somebody, at this point in their life too. If that's what makes you happy, I've said it a million times on this show. I am not one to tell someone how to spend their money. If that's what makes you happy, go do it.
Ken, are we going to see a Gene Simmons bass behind you next to your toy guitar?
Not that one. Not that one.
Oh no, you've got the one coming from the last show, right?
I'd rather, right.
Ken's the highest.
I wouldn't mind the Punisher or Axe bass or something like that, but
I got an Axe.
I would like to see him play that in some of these final shows and see how that actually sounds. Hopefully he does. It's a good way to promote it and promote, for sales. Market it.
But what's funny? Did Gene ever play that Thunderbird bass that they advertised a few years back? Remember?
He did.
Put out a Gene, did he ever play
it like a couple of times, right? I remember seeing it. Yeah.
So maybe
there's video out there. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I hope to see.
I didn't like it though.
I hope it's the first announcement of several, like new. Some new guitar design for Paul, not necessarily something wild, but something a little bit different than what he's been doing with his custom line for this final run. Maybe something different for Eric's drums. Who knows if Tommy has something. Again, I like Tommy guitars because he's, again, I love the Epiphones. The Explorer is really cool. I don't play that one because I can still smell the pyro on it. He played it. But I do occasionally get the silver sparkle thing out, only when I'm feeling fit, because the rest of the time I just like noodling on my Jackson. We got enough time for a couple more topics. Let's see what we got here. Oh, yeah. White Lions, Vito Brata recalls the time he nearly joined KISS. Would Vito Brata from White Lion have made a good guitarist in KISS? Now, remember, when he's talking about this is 1982, so that's closer to Fight to Survive, the first album, before they went into the heavier, kind of glammy, soft, melodic, beautiful stuff with the Pride album. Ken, are you like who?
Can he sing? I don't know. I mean, those are kind of questions that Gene and Paul would have asked. Can you sing? You have to sing. You can't have a facial hair or nothing like that. But and your hair's got to be dyed black. But anyway, I don't know. I don't know that guitarist enough I assume they made the right choices based based on what we got. So yeah, he's probably. I'm sure he's a very decent guitarist, but I don't know if he was right for Kiss or not. That's was Paul's and Gene's decision.
Yeah, I don't know what they saw in the club when they saw him, but
Don't know.
consummate player back in the day. Absolutely amazing melodic player in that later part of the 1980s. Lonnie?
I think it might have been interesting, but I also don't think it would have lasted. I still think we would have, if he would have joined the band, it would have been interesting. We'd have gotten some interesting stuff in that time period, different than what we are used to. However, I still think we would have ended up with Bruce Kulick at the end of the day. I think Bruce was such a perfect match for Kiss in the 80s. And I don't think they would have been happy until they landed where they did. Would have been interesting. Would have been different. History would have been different. But I still think we would have landed with Bruce. Maybe not in 1985, but I think eventually we still would have ended up with Bruce Kulick because he was the right choice.
I agree with Bill. Punky Meadows would have been a really interesting addition, but I don't think it would have worked out too well. Mark, I didn't ask you yet. That's a guitarist question.
Well, as you can see, I'm a Vito Brata fan. Okay. And the one thing that I find interesting is that he was always about that Steinberger guitar, which I thought was really odd. But it was cool because it had that trans trim, and that's a whole other whack that we'll get into another day. But I don't know. As much as I love Bruce Kulick. He was when I was the first episode with you guys. You guys asked me what my favorite member was, and I said Bruce Kulick from the very beginning, and he still is. So I have no problems with Bruce being in the band. If Vito would have had a shot at it, though, I think it would have been interesting because, number one, he is definitely a very good guitar player. I would never really put him into the shredder bracket. I would put him more into like the, very competent melodic player. Like he can do two-handed tapping. He can do regular, so he can do all kinds of finger picking things. He can do everything, this guy.
He's a player's player.
Yeah, exactly. And everything that he does has a melody. You can hum his guitar solos. He does some really nice melodic solos in it. Okay. So I think that would have been right up Paul and Gene's alley. Okay, he's a New Yorker as well, so that would have been played into their thing as well. And he's a good writer too. I mean, you might not like some of his songs that he wrote, and the ironic thing about it is that he was viewed as they mentioned here, that he was the modern day Edward Van Halen. A lot of his guitar soloing sounded like Eddie Van Halen on those records. And who did Kiss want in at that time at the Creatures of the Night? Who were they, talking with? Eddie Van Halen, right? To come in, right?
Eddie Van Halen asked to join Kiss.
Well, asked to join. Okay, so it was ironic that, but that's the funny thing. They didn't want him, but yet they go to Vito Brata and talk to him about joining the band. So really, who's telling the truth here? So because the thing is, you had Eddie at one time there who wanted to come in and they didn't want him, and then you go to a guy who plays exactly like Eddie Van Halen in a lot of ways, and he doesn't join. All right. I don't know. For me personally, I think it would have been interesting to see what he would have did because I think that he's a more than competent songwriter. The only strike, and I know Ken was always joking about it when he was talking at the beginning there, does he sing? He doesn't sing. So that would have been probably the one strike that would have went against him.
Yeah.
He got signed a contract too.
When you look at the long list of people who they checked out, either going to see them in clubs or the people who they flew in, it really seems odd that they couldn't find someone that they were happy with and just ended up with Vinnie Vincent by default because they just couldn't get there. Even after they signed him to, the touring deal, they're still looking at people. They're back on the East Coast. They're still looking at people. They're going to clubs. They're checking people out. They're bringing people in. they just were not happy with Vinny, and they couldn't be happy with any of these guys. And again, we're talking about Vito pretty much according to what he did in 1987 when White Lion toured with KISS and that second album, rather than what he was doing in the clubs in 1982 as a much younger player. So I've never heard anything going that far back with him. I only know what he was doing on the big game and Pride.
It wasn't that different.
Well, I doubt he was that much of a melodic player at that point, when that simply was not part of the wheelhouse of what was hard rock and popular hard rock on the East Coast. Think Twisted Sister and a lot of that stuff that was going around at the time. So what was he playing? That'd be really interesting to hear. So if anyone knows and can point us in the direction of early Vito Brata and the bands that he would have been in.
I'm going to say, you know why they had such a hard time finding guitarists? Because every guitarist they wanted to sound like Ace. They wanted a guitarist to sound like Ace, and they couldn't find him because no one plays like Ace.
I mean, anybody can play like Ace. It's just pentatonic soloing. That's all it is.
Anyone can play.
Well, Mark, why did they ask you to join?
Because I was probably like 10 years old then.
You're too young.
You don't sing.
Well, let's finish on one topic, and we can keep this one short, I guess. I hope. Ending with dignity like kicks. Someone posted that on the FAQ because KISS, of course, after a 40-something year career, has played their final show. I mean, God, all these bands that we grew up loving, listening to. I never listened to KISS, but I'm speaking on a broader scale, are coming to the end of their careers and calling it a day in one way or another in many sense. So ending with dignity like KISS, or ending the best that they can with the cards that they've been dealt. Mark, how do you look at that? Do you like KISS?
First of all, I'm not very big on KISS. I don't know much about them, and but I have been seeing a lot of video on YouTube about their final performance, and everybody seems to be saying the same thing, which is just that KISS ended it, and that's the way this is the way to end a show. And there's been a lot of those kind of comments about their performance. I haven't seen it, but the seer is right there. KISS did nail it. It was a very classy ending. Andrew just put there, So obviously they did something right. I'd like to watch it just to see what they did. Yeah, it's easy, but Ace got more of it out of it. Well, please, we can go on about Ace all day. I can tell you right now that there's lots.
It's more about what you don't do with scale, do without scales.
I mean, that's let's say that for another episode. We can talk about Ace in full detail another time.
Another episode.
But anyways, I don't know much about KISS and what they did, but obviously they did something right. I'm wondering if they were just trying to imply that they closed everything off, saying that's it, we're done, bye, and they're heading off into the sunset, and they're not going to come back again in 4 years, saying we're back again, and maybe they're honestly going to wrap things up. Because KISS is always been in the butt end of the jokes with the Who and all these other bands and Motley Crue, like, we've retired, no we haven't. Yes, we've retired, no we haven't. So maybe KISS is just implying that they're just wrapping things up, and that's the end of it. And people actually believe them. Maybe, I don't know, because like I said, I don't know much about KISS and what happened. So
yeah, they haven't been proved false yet. Lonnie.
Yeah.
Wrapping it up with dignity. I don't know. I gave KISS a hard time earlier in the show about their 5-year end of the road tour, but there were some extenuating circumstances to those. I mean, before the pandemic hit, we did get a date of like July 20-something, 2021 that for New York. Like this was the plan to wrap it up in New York, and the pandemic just delayed it by 2+ years. So I know that's a joke right now with the 5-year tour, and I gave him trouble about it. But I don't know if it's wrapping it up with dignity. And KISS is who they are. I mean, it is KISS. I mean, would you not be surprised if KISS wasn't trying to get every last dollar out of you while they can? So I mean, wrapping it up with dignity versus Kiss, I don't know if you can even make that comparison. I mean, Kiss are who they are, and they make no bones about it. And any interview Gene does, like, I wish this was Kiss gum type of statements. Like I'll sell you anything, and they don't care. So I don't think they even care about wrapping it up with dignity.
Yeah, dignity is overrated. A corpse should go sliding into the grave, well used and ready for a dirt nap. No one, you don't get to choose.
No,
You're
right.
This isn't a fairy tale. This isn't a read by, choose your destination reading book. What the fuck is dignity? I'd say they are going out with as much dignity as they can for the circumstances that the band now finds themselves under. Is it what I would have hoped? It's not my band to make that decision. I could have checked out anytime I wanted if I was that dissatisfied with the life choices KISS were making. There is no choice. People don't get to choose their endings except in very, very few circumstances. And it usually isn't a good way. So fuck it. What is dignity? They're setting everything up. If they are getting every cent while it's still on the table, well, that's the choices that they've made. I'm not going to project mine on them because I've got a few years hopefully to go before I worry about any of that shit. Yeah. Sorry to go to you immediately after that statement, but
It's like, okay. Isn't kicks are for trids, right? Kicks are for trids. You ever hear that old? Anyway, it's an old joke. Look it up. Kicks are for trids. It was an old joke from when I was a kid. But yeah, that's fine that they ended with dignity. Maybe KISS. I'm hoping KISS will do the same now. December, what is it? 2nd, 3rd, or 4th, or whatever date it is.
Second,
that they finish, and they say they're gonna. This is the end, and really end it, and don't come back next year and play a bunch of festivals
with your hat in your hand, saying, "Excuse me, sir, can you spare a few cents?"
Yeah,
come back and say it was farewell to Eric and Tommy.
Some more porridge, please. Anyway,
farewell to Eric and Tommy, like it was farewell to Ace and Peter.
Farewell to So hopefully, I don't know. I think I saw Kicks. Did Kicks open? Look it up tour. Didn't they? One of the.
I think it might have been Animalize.
Or maybe it was I thought I saw them open one time. But anyway, that's good for them. And hopefully, KISS, like I said, just finishes it off here in December.
My last thought on kind of the end of the road is that I'm disappointed in KISS. When they were announcing the tour in 2018, they said we're going to be going to all these places that we've never gone before. They have missed. They did have South Africa scheduled at one point that fell victim to COVID. And I guess they technically did go to Dubai. But I'm very disappointed that they didn't play Israel. Fuck the politics.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
Gene's from there. All that protest shit when it comes to him being Israeli doesn't hold water. I'm disappointed that they never made it to the Far East, places like Singapore. Even Bangkok.
You ever played Hawaii?
They played Hawaii in '76,
oh yeah, that's right.
They haven't been there in a long time.
But it's a long time, yeah.
Yeah, and even Alaska, I think the last time for that was 2000, so
yeah,
or 99, whatever it was. So there were a lot of places that they never. South Korea, that is.
Yeah, North Korea.
Yeah, I hope so.
I don't think it go over real well in North Korea.
And maybe there just aren't the demographics there to support going to any of those countries.
Sure.
But when we say we're going to go places that we've never been before, I was thinking a little bit, more interesting than Sheboygan, or did they I don't think they even got to Delaware. So I think that's still a show that they may not have ever done. I'd have to check.
Gene is a lot of talk, as we know.
I think it was Doc, but just as much. He's paid to talk. All right, so there we are. That's a bunch of topics from the board as I get back from vacation. But you know what? What's the point of having a message board if you don't talk about the topics? It's much more fun to do it here, where I don't have to ban anyone for their opinions.
Yes.
Right, here we go. Chris the Riff. Oh yeah, they canceled New Zealand, and now they're never coming back. Demographics. I'm sorry. Yeah, the Aussies are getting one more at this point, and New Zealand still hasn't gotten a fill-in date.
Yeah,
Johnson
that
City.
sucks when they're that close.
Which show?
Our show.
Oh, ours. Yeah, check out some other shows as well. There's lots of good KISS podcasts. See which buffet you like.
What show are you talking about?
What show was that? I need to catch it.
Optimistic comments like that.
Yeah, so one final time, I want to take the opportunity to thank everyone who joined us live and chimed in with topics and ideas and thoughts and corrections as we went. That's what it's about. We love having you as part of our community and for your support of this show. But for now, that's it. We're done. We'll see you again soon. So from Ken, from Lonnie, Mark, and myself, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time. Thank you for spending time listening to the KissFAQ podcast today. All sales are final. There are no refunds. If you'd like, look us up on Facebook or come over to the KissFAQ message board and discuss the topic we've broadcast today. Don't forget to rate us on iTunes, Spreaker, or wherever you've listened to the show. We hope you'll join us again.